How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. In today's video, I've got 4 stories to cover. The first one is that the PS5 is currently on sale, but you're gonna have to act fast. Second, I regret to inform you that my launch PS5 seems to be dying, and I'm pretty bummed about it. Third, we're gonna talk about these layoffs at Bungie and how there's kind of like a good thing coming out of it, but it's still weird. And finally, we're gonna talk about Until Dawn on the PS5 and PC. So let's talk about the PS5 being on sale first. All right, so right now over on Amazon and Best Buy, up until August 3rd and 4th respectively, the PS5 Slim model is on sale. So if you get the disc edition, that's going to be $450, and if you get the digital edition, it's going to be $400. Now this is a little bit weird because when the Slim came out, the digital version actually got a price bump. The launch model was $400 and then they bumped it up to $450. So if you buy the digital model, you're actually getting it for the original MSRP of the digital PS5. But either way, I personally would recommend getting the disc model over the digital any day of the week because A, you're saving $50, which is like most of the way to a game. Like $20 more will get you a game, so you can buy the disc model console and a game, save some money. And also you just want that ability to have discs work on your PlayStation 5, because if you didn't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know this, but I'm just gonna say it. The PS5 is fully backwards compatible with PS4. So if you've got a big collection of PS4 discs, all of those will work with the PS5 disc model. But if you buy the digital model, you're gonna have to rebuy all those games digitally, which doesn't sound very fun. And also, you only get around 1 terabyte of storage, which used to be a ton of storage, but these days, you're gonna get like 3 or 4 games out of 1 terabyte. So you wanna be able to have the discs, so when you're not playing a game, you can delete it from your storage and then put the disc in when you wanna play it, wait for it to install, wait for the patches to download, and make sure you always have enough storage ready to go. Or you save $50 on the disc model, and that's like halfway to a new SSD, so you'll never run out of storage either way. A lot of good options when it comes to either PS5, but for my money, I would say go for the disc model, and I'm assuming I don't even need to tell you that. All right, let's jump into the second news story here, which is all about my PS5 slowly dying. So this has been happening over the course of 2024. It all started with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I went and I bought the game digitally, and then I was playing it, and like every night I'd be playing for around an hour, and then I would get this message on the screen that said, we can't verify your license. If you don't verify your license in like the next 5 minutes, we're going to shut the game down and then you'll have to start back up. So I lived with that for a couple of hours, and then I realized I couldn't take it anymore. So the next day I went and bought a disc copy, and that really fixed all my issues. But I noticed that like if I went into my internet settings and did the test internet connection thing that's been a trick since going back to the PS3, it would fix the Wi-Fi issues for a few hours and everything would be fine. Then later on, I was playing Diablo IV when they did the Loot Reborn season because I wanted to get in and finally level a character up to level 100, and I actually did it. Yay, that was awesome. And I realized that it was running like super laggy because that game is always online. Like the little monsters that I was fighting were teleporting all over the map, and then I would have to restart my PS5, like hard restart it, not put it into rest mode and take it out of rest mode, like full on go to power settings and restart. That would fix the issue for like an hour or two, but then it would immediately like come back and everything would be laggy again. So I was like, shit, that really sucks. And now we're at the point where it just straight up doesn't work right anymore. I have Modern Warfare 3 on PC. I bought it when it came out, but when I bought my PS5 Slim for the video I did on it, it came with a code for Modern Warfare 3 and everything transfers. So I was like, I don't really want to play with mouse and keyboard right now. I'll boot up some Call of Duty, get some games in on the TV, and have a little bit of relaxing fun. And then I noticed packet bursts like crazy, because if you didn't know, a lot of the game is streamed from online, like textures and everything like that, the location of enemy players, everything like is streamed from online when you're playing multiplayer in Call of Duty. And I noticed that like everyone was moving super laggy, including myself. So animations would play multiple times. I was getting the packet burst sort of icon in the top right corner of the screen. So I was like, oh, I've dealt with this before. I'll just restart my PS5 and everything will be fine. Nope, that's not the case. It just doesn't work anymore. Like the Wi-Fi is completely freaking busted, and it really sucks because obviously my PS5, I got it in 2020. So we're 4 years past that. It's way out of the warranty range. And without Wi-Fi, I mean, yeah, I can play single player games if I get them on disc, but as far as I'm concerned, it's like not really a good situation. Oh, and also my favorite tactic of putting a disc in, letting the patch download in rest mode and coming back later and playing, or downloading a game from my phone at the gym. Like if I buy it on my phone, I can set it to download to that PS5. That just never works right. It disconnects from the internet in rest mode. And I thought it might be my internet connection. So I had AT&T come out, try to fix my internet. They gave me a new modem. They gave me new extenders because I have range extenders all over my house. That didn't fix the the issue. And then I was like, wait, I should try this on my PS5 Slim. And lo and behold, virtually no issues with the PS5 Slim. Everything works fine. When I download games when I'm out of the house, they're downloaded when I get home. It even lets me pick the storage, which is great. I had no issues in Modern Warfare 3. I had no issues in Diablo 4, and I had no issues with it verifying the license. And I double checked my main PS5, like my home unit is the one upstairs. So yeah, this really blows because on my PC, if a part like that goes out, I can just order a new Wi-Fi card and swap that out super easily. But taking apart the PS5, it's definitely easier than it was with the PS4 and PS4 Pro and the PS3, but it's by no means as accessible as doing something on my Steam Deck or my PC. So I went to contact Sony and realized I'm not level 4 in PlayStation Stars. So I was like, I'm not waiting on hold for this. I have another PS5. It looks like the one upstairs is basically relegated to single player disc-based games for now, which really sucks when you compound it with the issue that I had with the PS4 Pro, which is I bought that thing day one. I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, so I traded in my PS4 to get it. And then literally like a month after I hit the 1 year mark of having that thing, the disk drive broke. There's like a common problem. You can look it up. The disk drives on the PS4 Pros, especially the launch ones, were terrible. So the way to fix the disk drive was when you put a disk in, you would tap the top left corner of the PS5 with your finger, like tap, 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 and that would make the disk drive spin up. But if you didn't do that, it would just make a clicking noise. So I had to live with that for a while, and it really blew because it would break rest mode on my PS4 Pro. So now here I am almost a decade later, and I'm having the exact same issues with my launch PS5, and it's just a bummer. 4 years is not a long time for a console to last, especially when I paid $500 for it. So I'm just curious if this is affecting any of you out there, or if you have any tips specifically on how to get it fixed for free. I don't want tips on how to configure my internet because I'm not doing that. Like, it's just not the problem. As evidence, my PC, my PS5 Slim, my Steam Deck, and my ROG Ally, none of them have these issues. It's really just my PS5 launch model. So it's not my internet. Do not suggest anything related to my internet being the problem. Please just give me suggestions on how to get this Wi-Fi card replaced for free. Thank you. Anyway, that brings us to the third news story here, which is all about this layoff situation at Bungie, which is not great. So I was kind of curious if this was going to happen because back when they did their first round of layoffs after the Lightfall expansion came out, after Sony bought them, they basically said that is a lever we'll pull again. So a lot of the people working at Bungie were assuming that if they made the final shape good enough and it sold well enough, their jobs would be protected. And it looked like that's what happened, right? Like the final shape came out. It's one of the best expansions or game releases rated wise this year. Everyone pretty much loved it. The only thing I've seen people complaining about is the new way seasons work. Like the story system that they have really just sucks. I don't know. I didn't play the final shape. I am completely out on Destiny, but it looked like for a minute that things were going in the right direction. And then yesterday, at the time of recording this video, happened, and it is not going in the right direction. So if you add up the amount of people that have been laid off by Bungie since that first layoff, including this new layoff, like they've laid off around 40% of their workforce. And in interviews and stuff and in the blog post, they said it's because they overhired, they went too big, Lightfall didn't make enough money, which is all just lame excuses because A, it's very obvious that they shouldn't have hired that many people during 2020, right? Like so many game developers way overhired because they were like, whoa, everyone's playing video games right now. And we have no idea why. It was very obvious why people were playing video games way more because they were all stuck inside and there was nothing to do for pretty much an entire year, if not more. So obviously people went out and bought Nintendo Switches to play Animal Crossing. They bought Doom Eternal. They played a bunch of Warzone. Like I did all this back then. And then when people started being able to go outside again, not only did people get outside more because they missed it, but they also started exercising more. They also started doing more things with people. And obviously that all resulted in people playing less video games. Like it just makes sense. So they started making less money and then they were like, oh, we're paying way too many people to work on these games and that results in layoffs. Like that just makes sense to me. And it's insane that they didn't see that coming. Like that's stupid. And then when it comes to Lightfall, if you don't know the whole situation there, Lightfall was not an expansion that was supposed to happen. It was supposed to go the Witch Queen and then the final shape. Like the final shape was supposed to be the end of Destiny's saga after the Witch Queen, which is 2 expansions ago. And then because they hired that many people, they threw together an expansion in around a year. And that expansion was so bad that it basically killed Destiny for me and a lot of people. Like right now, Destiny isn't anywhere close on Steam with concurrent play players to something like the First Descendant, which is a shameless ripoff of Destiny 2 and Warframe. Like, it's good. I think it's a solid game. It's just not for me right now, but you can see that Destiny 2 should be much higher on the ranking than something like the First Descendant, and it's not. So even with an expansion like the Final Shape, they're not getting anywhere close to the numbers that they did at the peak, which was right before Lightfall, and Lightfall absolutely sucked. Like, honestly, it's one of the worst expansions Destiny's ever had since Destiny 1, and that's saying something because there have been a lot of bad expansions in Destiny's history. There's also all these news stories about Pete Parsons coming out where like former employees are saying that like he took his bonus that he got when Sony bought them and he bought a bunch of classic cars, which looks super bad when, you know, this dude's just blowing all his money on classic cars while people are literally losing their jobs and then the people who don't lose their jobs have it looming over them while they work their ass off to make the best Destiny expansion ever to completely end the saga. Like, you could see how the workplace environment there is just not great overall, and what that's resulted in is A, a lot of layoffs, B, Destiny 3 being canceled, which really sucks because I think the biggest thing that game needs is a full creative reset, and C, they took a sci-fi game they were working on, spun it out of Bungie, and made a completely new studio. So that's like the only silver lining here. We got a new PlayStation first-party studio, but like, I don't think it's that good when you also have to lay off that many people. And just to be fair to Sony here, they did take 115 of the people who were being laid off and disperse them throughout SIE. So yeah, Sony's doing a lot of extra legwork to make up for the mistake of buying Bungie, and it just shows Sony's strategy that they had before, which was release a game with a small studio, see how it does, release maybe a DLC or a sequel, then buy the studio and give them more money to hire more people and make a bigger game. That was the way they should have done it. The situation with Concord where they bought it 5 years into development, stupid. This situation where they bought Bungie for a way inflated price right after Lightfall came out, incredibly stupid, and now they are suffering the consequences of it. Anyway, that brings us to the fourth news story here, which is that Until Dawn might get a release date soon. So this is really weird, right? Like, Until Dawn is being remade. I've heard tons of rumors from verifiable sources that it's not just a full-on remake. They've actually gone ahead and reworked the story and added in new components to it, and it might actually look and feel like a new game. The last time we heard about it, though, was at the last State of Play, which we all know was abysmal, and it had a fall 2024 release date on it. And at the time, that wasn't that alarming, honestly, because, you know, it's still a few months out, but we're in August now, and September is right around the corner, which is basically the beginning of fall, so you want to know when this game is coming out. The only reason I thought they might be being shy about it is because they also have a sort of second-party exclusive coming out with Silent Hill in October. I am very excited about that, but I feel like there's room for both Silent Hill 2 Remake and Until Dawn in October. I mean, if you don't release it in October, you're stupid because it's a Halloween type game. It's a game you invite your friends over to all pass the controller around in October when you want to play spooky stuff. Like, there's no reality in which Until Dawn should come out in November. But if they're going to release it in September, that's next month. So they need to announce a release date as soon as possible. And it looks like we will be getting one soon because the ESRB has fully rated this game. And if you don't know, when they rate something, that means the game has basically gone gold. Like, they've seen a finished copy of the game. They can rate the content that's within it. So I'd assume that maybe like we'll get this showcase around September and then they'll do a day and date drop for that game because, you know, it's not a huge release. It's like a remake of a game that did okay for, you know, what kind of game it was at the time. But like, Sony never worked with Supermassive again. They spun off, they got that publishing deal with Bandai Namco to do the Dark Pictures anthology. They did The Quarry for Google, and then Google shut down Stadia, so they got to release it as their own game. And now they're doing a game set in the Dead by Daylight universe, so like, they're doing just fine. I just want to know what's going on with this Until Dawn remake because they're not even the ones doing it. It would be cool though if it is successful and it does spawn more sequels in that franchise. You'd assume that that's what they want to do because if you didn't know, David F. Sandberg, the guy behind Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, I want to say, and of course the Shazam movies, he's directing a new version of Until Dawn, like as a movie. It's casted, it's about to film and everything like that. So if the remake of the game is successful and the movie successful, you'd assume that Sony would want to get more games in that franchise into production to kind of capitalize on it. But yeah, they don't have a studio anymore because Supermassive is off doing their own thing. So hopefully this studio that's remaking Until Dawn learns something from it and is able to continue on with the franchise. But yeah, we're getting it this year, I'm sure, but I'm getting getting more and more worried that this is a release that's going to happen in like November or December, which is so deflating because I love having new horror games to play around October. It's my favorite month of the year. I got started on YouTube covering the Halloween movies, and you know, I love Halloween, obviously. Like, look at this room around me. There's so much Halloween crap everywhere. I got a LED neon pumpkin sitting up over my fireplace there. It's my favorite time of the year, and I want to be able to re-experience Until Dawn during October. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this weekend update here on PS Ready. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.